Welcome into the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. I'm very pleased to bring on these next two authors. Today, I got the pleasure of reading a very good book this weekend. We're delving into the world of fiction yet this week, and it's a book that I requested from the publisher because it's a book that intrigued me. It's two very popular series that got melded into one. And I had a great time reading it this weekend. I want to tell you a little bit more about it, and we'll delve into it with the authors today, Kendra Elliot and Melinda Leigh. Echoroad is the name of the book, and it takes two very popular series and melds them into one. It takes Mercy Kilpatrick and Bree Taggert and takes both of them together to solve a case on two different coasts. Very intriguing concept. And it took a lot of juggling to bring these two characters together and bring it into a super case, so to speak. So we're going to bring both authors on, and we're going to talk about how you get two great authors together, two great characters together, and manage to bring this whole project together. Because it seems like a lot just to get all this under one roof into one book and bring this huge project together. Kendra Elliot has landed on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list multiple times and is the award-winning author of the Bone Secrets and Callahan and McLean series, the Mercy Kilpatrick novels, and the Columbia River novel. She's a three-time winner of the Daphne du Maurier Award, an International Thriller Writers Award finalist, and an RT Award finalist. She was born and raised in the rainy Pacific Northwest, but now lives in flip-flops. Melinda Leigh is the #1 Amazon charts and #1 Wall Street Journal best-selling author of the She Can series, the Midnight Novels and Scarlet Falls series, the Morgan Dane series, and the Bree Taggert series. Melinda is an International Thriller Award finalist for Best First Book. Her novels have garnered numerous other awards, including 2 Rita nominations. She holds a second-degree black belt in Kempo Karate, so I will not mess with her during this interview, and has taught women's self-defense. Melinda lives, I'm not going to say that she lives in a messy house. I live in a messy house as well with her family and a small herd of rescue pets, which we may hear from one of them during the interview, which is absolutely fine. I want to hear from one of them during the interview. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome into True Crime Tuesday, Kendra Elliot and Melinda Leigh. Ladies, thank you so much for being on True Crime Tuesday.
Oh, thanks for having us.
So I got to hear the story, first of all, of how both of you came together. And Melinda, I want to hear from you first. How is it that the two of you get together and start this massive project?
Kendra and I have been best friends for a dozen years. We're published with the same publisher. We both started when the publisher was relatively new, so it was a very small stable of authors at the time. And we had previously written 2 novella series together, where we alternated stories in the same world.
Okay.
This was, having done that, we really wanted to tackle something new. And our readers had been clamoring for us to bring our characters together for ages. So we thought, why not? It sounds like a lot of fun.
It does sound like a lot of fun. Now, Kendra, when you take and try to tackle something of this scope, now, mind you, this is no novella. This is a huge novel and a huge undertaking. How do you start with just the concept of getting just the outline together and then trying to develop a full story?
What's an outline? We do not outline.
No?
But no, Melinda and I have been talking about this project for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
The hard part was finding time in our individual writing schedules to work together. When we finally sat down and did it, after talking about it for 4 years, we wrote it in 7 weeks, which is absolutely insane. And it was fun. Mm-hmm. We felt, you kind of get in a rut when you're writing series, and this was new and different, but it was also this familiar, since we were using characters that we've both written a lot about.
Now, I'll ask you this, Kendra. I take it you're both familiar with each other's characters. is it one of those things where it fits like a glove, where you jump into it and you know each other so well that it's easy? Or do you need to kind of go back and forth and ask each other, would this character do this? Would that character do that?
We know each other, our writing styles pretty well. Occasionally we would have to ask, what would your character do here? What would she say here? Would she do this in this position? And usually we were sitting together, so it wasn't too hard. But it really flowed smoothly.
Melinda, let me ask you this. Is there a point where you and Kendra have ever, and I know you've been writing these characters for a long, long time. Has there ever come a point where the two of you actually go, one's an FBI agent, the other's a sheriff, where the two of you have to look at each other and go, now, is there a point where they cross jurisdictions and we have to go to some other outside influence and ask them, does this fall under somebody else's jurisdiction? And we have to consult somebody else?
No, we know what the jurisdiction is for our characters, so we purposefully wrote the book and the plot so that it would fit.
Okay. Because at one point, as I'm reading Echoroad, I'm going, this all fits pretty tidily, if that's a word. I don't know. You're the authors. You can tell me. But as I'm reading it, I'm going, wow, this is a lot of, there's interstate, there's national, there's a lot to the plot, which we'll get to here in a second. And I'm going, but somewhere in there, isn't there something with a jurisdiction that might kind of fall by the wayside? And I'll tell you what I mean here in a moment. But you did a very good job of keeping things in line to where things, let's put it this way. There could be a potential RICO law in there somewhere, right? Or something like that. There's a lot of kidnapping. There's a lot of trafficking. There's a lot of other things that fall in there, which could potentially kind of throw you off the course, right?
Sure, but it's fiction, so
Sure. Right. So you can kind
it's
of
not real life.
you can kind of fudge around some things, I suppose. Right.
We always have to ask ourselves, is this plausible? It may not be likely, but could it happen? And if the answer is yes, then we will go for it.
Well, now, did I read this right, that this is based on a true case? Is that the case?
Yes, it is. Well, it's inspired by a true case.
Okay. Can you specify what the true case is, or do you prefer to keep it private?
We'd rather not.
Okay. I'm just curious. And that's fine. There's a lot of things on television that are inspired by true cases as well that are never revealed. So,
well, we strayed pretty far from the actual case.
okay.
It was really just the setup where we were actually sitting in a conference together, and somebody was reviewing a case, and it was an FBI agent on one coast and a police department on an interior of the U.S. And we thought, oh my goodness, that's the perfect setup.
The reason
they were each chasing a case, and then the two cases came together.
Right. I mean, you have a brilliant villain in there as well in this story. That's why I ask it if it's not just the setup for both your heroes, or if it's the villain, or if it's both that are inspired by the true case. So I'm just curious as far as that goes. Honestly,
the true case is less believable. So it really is.
Really? Oh my gosh. All right. Well, with that, why don't we talk a little bit about it and start to get in a little bit to Echoroad and the premise of Echoroad. I find it fascinating that you managed to get these two characters on opposite sides of the U.S. One's in Oregon, the other's on the East Coast. That you managed to get these two together and to manage to stitch these two together in two opposite sides of the U.S. And Kendra, let's talk about your character first and how you managed to get your character over to the other side of the U.S.
Well, since she's an FBI agent, she can pretty much go wherever she is told to go. And that's why we set the crime, part of the crime, in Melinda's jurisdiction. Because as a sheriff, she can't do a lot outside of her jurisdiction. She can do some things. It just made more sense for my character to head over to that side of the United States.
Now, to start out the book, you have a senator in Oregon, correct?
Yeah.
Who's got a well-to-do family. He's a very popular senator. Has a family who seems like a pretty normal family, except for he has a daughter who's kind of chafing at the normalcy of the family, correct?
Yeah. And when she disappears, they try to keep it quiet. They didn't want it to get out that much. But also, since it was politics, since he was a political figure, that was another reason to bring in the FBI instead of just having the local sheriff's department in Oregon handle the disappearance. And especially when they started thinking, oh, what is happening in New York? This is really similar to what we've got here. Even more reason for the FBI to be involved.
And initially, the senator believes that this is politically motivated, that it's potentially one of his enemies. So he's worried sick that one of his enemies is gone
Yeah.
after him.
Yeah, that he said something wrong or voted wrong, that somebody did not like.
So he's worried to tears that this has gone on. His wife, of course, is a nervous wreck throughout the entire thing. And so this has caused some family strife. Mercy is doing the FBI agent is doing her best to try and figure out what's going on there. And she's got a partner as well who's helping out with the case as well. And they're doing whatever they can to follow up on their end. Now, Melinda, tell us what's going on over on the East Coast side of things while this is happening.
My sheriff is investigating a double homicide, which she has no idea is connected to any other case. She just thinks it's two murders that occurred in her jurisdiction. And she's just going about her business, investigating her crimes.
Now, it's kind of a gruesome double homicide. When we kind of come across your characters, she comes across suitcases, right?
Yes, a county lawn maintenance person has run across two suitcases on the side of the road, and they we'll just say there's some fly activity. And leave it at that.
Major
It's a bit gruesome
activity. Yeah. And to say that you two have I hate to say flesh it out because that's horrible to say, but yeah, the scene is quite descriptive. We'll put it that way. Let's just say I was starting to eat lunch. I had to put it down when I was reading that part of the book. But quite descriptive, and actually it's quite involved. And I have to tip my hat to both of you. The forensics behind it was quite good too. And the forensics behind a lot of the book is quite good. Let me stop with that and say I take it through writing a lot of your work. You've had to come across a lot of forensics. So I'll stop you here and ask you this: in your time writing, have you had to consult a lot of forensics doctors? And in that, how much? I shouldn't say how much have you had to learn about forensics, but how much have you come across forensics and have you taken to forensics and taken an interest in it? Let's start with you, Kendra.
Forensics was one of the reasons I started writing, because I was fascinated with it. So from book one, the very first book I wrote a dozen years ago, there's pretty heavy forensics in all my books. And you can find most of the information online. Melinda and I also attend, is it in Wisconsin or Minnesota? I think it's been in Minnesota before. Writers Police Academy, where they'll have forensic experts and law enforcement, first responders who are there to teach writers specifically. So we pick up a lot of things there too.
Very cool. Very cool. What's the most alarming thing you've learned at this Writers Academy for forensics?
I don't know. Melinda, do you have something?
Writers are morbid.
Writers are. That's true. We'll be like eating our sandwiches or eating our lunch and watching these slideshows that are very graphic, and that's fine.
You've gotten quite good at your craft, because there's a few scenes in there that are, yeah, I don't think I could eat through one of those conferences. I know that.
So we were at an actual homicide seminar that is for homicide detectives. Outside of the whole writing thing, this was, and they did not like us there. We were invited, but they did not like having authors there. And so we sat in on their actual case presentations, and a lot of what's in the book comes from the case presentation on the murder.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We were very lucky to do that. We can't do it anymore though.
Really? They didn't. I
Don't want us.
I don't understand why they didn't like having you there. That to me doesn't, doesn't jive. I don't get that. Okay.
It's for law enforcement only. It's almost like, I want to call it like continuing education almost. I don't think law enforcement actually does that, but that's what it reminded me of.
But what is it they're saying that you couldn't find out in any medical school, or you couldn't find out, I mean, that you couldn't go to school for and learn,
I think it was mainly that these are the detectives that investigated this case.
Okay. So
there's several case presentations throughout the seminar, and they are frank about what they saw, who they suspected, and they kind of spill everything. One of the cases presented was Jeffrey Dahmer, and I heard things that I had not read in the newspaper or heard on TV about that.
Okay. So there's confidentiality things that.
I think so.
Okay.
Which is another reason we do change details in the case.
Yeah.
To make sure that confidentiality is maintained.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I get what you're saying there. Okay. I tell you what, why don't we take our break here? When we come back, I want to get deeper into the book, into Echoroad, because we'll start to flesh out a little bit about this case. Again, we've got 2 suitcases, we've got 2 bodies, and Mercy is starting to investigate what's happened to Paige, which is the senator's daughter. And at this point, she's been taken, she's been kidnapped, and we don't know where she is. When we come back, we'll start to put pieces together. We'll start to talk about how Mercy meets up with Bree Taggert, who's our sheriff on the East Coast. We'll talk about what kind of relationship they start to have at first and how this relationship develops. And we'll talk about exactly what this killer's, as far as we know, killer's motive is, and why he left these suitcases on the side of the road, what exactly it is he's doing, and how he's achieving it. We'll talk about all this. Echoroad is a wonderful book, folks. We have a link in the description of this program so you can go get it. I tell you, I was fascinated by it. This entire read is just from start to finish will grip you. I got through it literally in one sitting. I mean, I couldn't put it down. So it was a fascinating read. I want you guys to check it out. Kendra Elliot and Melinda Leigh are our guests today. Echoroad's the name of the book. Get it during the break. When we come back, more about Echoroad right after this on the best in true crime podcasting, True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Our guest is Kendra Elliot and Melinda Leigh. The book is Echoroad. We have a link in the description of this program. When we last left you, we've got 2 bodies in suitcases on the side of the road that one sheriff, Bree Taggert, is looking at over on the East Coast. We've got our FBI agent Mercy over in Oregon with her partner, looking at the disappearance of Paige, who is a senator's daughter. And we somehow need to get these 2 together. Now, Kendra, I want you to tell me about how it is that Mercy decides she needs to go to the East Coast. What is it that makes her decide that these two murders might have something to do with Paige's disappearance?
Okay, you're gonna hate me because there's a detail I have forgotten.
Oh,
Melinda.
I can't remember either.
I know there was something that Mercy comes across that linked it to, made her think it could be the same thing. What was it specifically that made her go think that that was related? Was it the fingernail polish?
Yes, that's what it was.
Is that all it was?
Sorry, my dog is.
no, that's okay. As a matter of fact, Melinda,
This is Rosie.
there's Rosie. Hi,
Come here,
Rosie.
Rosie. Come on, girl.
And
That's my girl, Rosie.
Rosie is a rescue, right?
Yes, she is.
Okay. Yeah. And
Yeah, she's a rescue.
we're all about rescue puppies here on the program. So I told Melinda during the program that if Rosie wanted to speak and wanted to say hi to the viewers and listeners on the program, that Rosie could say hi. So there you go.
She's a good girl.
Good. So
Okay, back to us forgetting.
I've written 2 other novels since we wrote this book.
that's fine. That's fine.
Details slip occasionally.
So was it the fact that the bodies in the suitcase had pink nail polish, right?
It had to be more than that, though. Possibly it was the size and the hair and another things that she wanted to get over there and get an immediate confirmation, or not a confirmation, that one of these women in the suitcase could have been Paige.
I know. I think you're right. I think you're right, Kendra, that they had dark hair and they had pink nail polish and there's some other things as well. So Mercy decides to go to the East Coast to try and line those up. I think you're right.
Got the dental records in her hand. She just goes.
Yep. So she decides to see if possibly one of those bodies is Paige, if I remember right. Yeah. So that's it. No, and you're completely forgiven. I know both of you have a couple different novels that you've written since this. So yeah, you're completely forgiven. That's fine. So Mercy's made this trip. Now, the first meeting between the two of them. Now, would you describe it as sweetness and light? They get together, they have coffee, they have scones, everything is good. Would you say that's the case?
Definitely not.
Oh, no?
Definitely not. My sheriff is, I believe, in the medical examiner's office, viewing the autopsy, and in waltzes this FBI agent, with no warning. She's immediately suspicious. Who is this person? Why is she sticking her nose in my case? So they are wary at first. But I think we worked hard to make them rely on each other, particularly in the first, like in that second quarter of the book, so that they're forced to discover that the other is competent and honest, and they develop respect first, and then it kind of develops into a friendship after that.
Is it safe to say at the beginning, Bree thinks that Mercy's going to take over the case and basically wrest it from her and try to basically solve this on her own, or abscond with it?
Probably. She is definitely suspicious.
Yeah, that's safe to say. But you're right. They do kind of feel each other out, and there's a certain amount of feeling out. There's a feeling out process, and through that, there's a trust that develops between the two, and it's organic. It definitely is an organic feel to their relationship, which is nice to read. And there's a definite mistrust that lasts through a good section of the book, which is nice to read too. The fact that they don't just automatically are like, oh, you're a cop too. It's not that feel that you get through the book, which is nice to read as well.
And we didn't plan any of that either. That just kind of happened. So we're like, oh, this feels good. Yeah, let's do it this way.
Yeah, which is refreshing. It's refreshing. The other thing that's refreshing too is the fact that I'm trying to figure out how much I can reveal here. I'm trying to do this spoiler free. Um, the way that you build this story, you're building it from different perspectives. So you do it from the perspective of Paige. You throw Paige's perspective in here. So you take a chapter, I don't want to say a chapter, what's a good way of putting it? So it's almost like you're flipping the camera, right? Or you're flipping the perspective. So you take a perspective and you give Paige's perspective. So you hear her voice in a chapter, and you flip the perspective and you get the actual suspect's perspective, and you just call him, which is nice. And you actually get the narcissistic, the narcissism drips off this guy, and he sees the headlines of what he's done, and he basks in the glow, so to speak. Now, this is something I want to kind of get from both of you. And I want to start with Kendra. When you're writing from a narcissistic perspective, it's easy to put yourself sometimes in the narcissistic perspective, but when you need to jump in that pool fully, how do you prepare yourself to get yourself in that pool? Because you really need to jump deep, right? And you need to immerse yourself into an I perspective, and you need to get yourself into a dark place. So how do you get yourself in that dark place and prepare yourself to get in
I'm going
the
to say Melinda wrote the killer's scenes.
Okay.
But I have written the same type of perspective, the same type of character in other books.
Okay.
And it's kind of scary how easy it comes.
Really?
Slide right on in.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Just, I mean, we both have read a ton of books. We've both seen a lot of TV. We've both met, narcissists. And it's not hard. It really isn't. I hate to say that.
Is it something you enjoy?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because when you're writing your main character, they have to kind of stay in a certain zone. They can't do anything that's too horrible. But boy, when you're writing the villain, it's a free for all. They can do whatever they want or whatever I want them to do.
Melinda, let me ask you about this particular villain. And again, spoiler free. We'll call him. When you're writing him, and was it easy for you to jump into him and get into this character? Because he is quite narcissistic, devious, demented.
Yeah, it was. Sorry. I didn't have any trouble writing him.
Did you have a I don't want to say not a muse, but did you have an inspiration for this character?
Not really. I mean, we've watched interviews as well with real killers. They're honestly not that deep. They really just aren't. You think they would be, but honestly, I think we put more motivation in their actions than they actually have. Sometimes they just do things and in a much more random pattern. Whereas when you're writing a book, it has to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the times what they do really doesn't make any sense.
I think you're right about that. I think you as authors, both of you as authors, put more motivation behind killers in novels than actual real life. Sometimes in real life, it's just an itch they want to scratch. And
Our editor will not let us not.
Yeah.
So what's the motivation here? We have the same editor. And so, we both have heard it. It's like, his motivation seems a little weak here. Why is he doing this? Why is she doing this? Yeah, our editor is really on top of that sort of thing.
Yeah. And in real life, when you've both studied killers, you've both watched interviews with killers. A lot of times it's just, I just need to do it. I just felt the need, right? They just go out and do it because it's either psychosocial, sexual, or it's just the feeling that they need to do it. It's like breathing. And it's something that you can't put down really in words. It's just something they go do. It's like we go to the grocery store, they go out and kill. It's that simple. Which makes it hard to put into motivation, which an editor says, well, I need something here. I need something tangible on a page. But you do a very good job, both of you do, of giving him a motivation here. I don't know if you want to reveal what that motivation is. Do you want to? You have
Probably not.
probably not. Okay. There's definitely a motivation here, in which he goes out and finds these women. And it is women that he's seeking, to find. But I tell you, this guy is demented. He's definitely very demented. And you're tell me a little bit more about the developing relationship between Bree and Mercy, and how it seems like as they go through the book, it's not just the investigation that brings them closer, but there's also a few. Is it safe to say, as the more violent the book gets, the closer they are drawn together? Is that easy to say?
I would say yes, because they have to rely on each other. They have to trust each other. They have to know someone has their back as things are getting horrible.
Is that, do you find that true of, I don't want to say do you find that true of real life too? Because obviously time is a thing with police officers. So if you have a partner that if you've been with for a long time, you get to know each other a long time, and that forms a bond as well. Do you find in a short-term situation such as this that someone could form a bond that quickly, or is it we needed to form a bond quickly between the two of them for the book?
I think we purposefully put them in very stressful situations that force them to rely on each other in order to speed that process up.
Okay. Yeah.
So we applied pressure to them.
Okay. Yeah. If there's another thing too about the two of them, is that they had, I don't want to say similar backgrounds, but is that a purposeful thing too, or do you feel that was completely coincidence?
Well, considering, I started writing this character in 2016, I think.
Mhm.
And Melinda started hers a long time ago. But when you're going to make a long-lasting character, you give them a deep backstory. You put trauma in their backstory. You put horrible things in their backstory. And I think we just both happened to do that. And they kind of lined up a little bit, not a lot, but it was enough to make them relate to each other.
Does that have to, and this may seem odd and an odd question, but I mean, there's even things like, and you're going to think this is an odd question, similar things like growing up on a farm. And does that have anything to do with, or being around a farm? Does that have anything to do with the background of the two of you?
I think that was just luck. I think they both they both work in rural environments, so
Yeah.
I
think that was coincidence.
Okay.
But it was handy.
Animals always make things interesting too.
They do.
Readers love to read about pets. They love to read about animals, anything. It just, for some reason, it strikes a chord with them.
And I think when you write plot lines that are as dark, I know I write very dark.
Okay.
So I need to have something in that book that keeps it from just dragging you into, the shadows and holding you there. You have to have some light.
Right.
To give the reader a break too, and give myself a break when I'm writing it. There has to be some hope in there, some lightness to balance it.
Well, it's interesting too that there's this farm, that there's this respite, so that there's a place where Mercy and Bree can go to in between these violent episodes that happen in the book, so they can retreat and go back and then jump back into the action and go back. And it's kind of a place to regroup, recharge, reset, go back. So it's a very good plot point that you put in there in that book, that kind of give us a place to take a breather, go back in, take a breather, go back in. And again, it's fascinating, folks. This book, Echoroad, that we're talking about. And again, I encourage you to go get it. But I just find that the synchronicity between these two characters, between Bree and Mercy, is almost a parallel to the friendship that the two of you have. So I find it ironic. That's just the one thing I'm trying to clumsily point out here, that there's the friendship between you two almost towards the, again, I'm trying to do this spoiler free. As the two of them are coming together, it seems like it's almost echoing the friendship that the two of you have. Is that accurate, or am I off base here?
Sure. I think when you're writing a long-term character, you can't help but have them absorb some of your personality. You know, when you're writing, I mean, I'm working on Bree's 10th book. We spent a lot of time together, Bree and I.
Melinda, how much of Bree is you, and Kendra, how much of Mercy is you?
I wouldn't say she's me, but definitely I think aspects of your personality have to enter into a character that you write for that long.
20%. I'm just trying to come up with a number, but I know what you mean. It's funny when you said it could reflect our friendship. One of the things that, you know, Melinda and I hit it off so well was, oh my God, our lives were like parallel. Kids were the same age, our homes were similar. We shopped at the same stores. I mean, you heard me when we first started, and I'm peering at Melinda's shirt to see if she's wearing the same thing as me, because we have a lot of the same clothes. And it's just, we don't do that on purpose.
Right.
It's just how it is.
Right.
But sometimes when we go places together, we will double check. What are you wearing? So we don't end up wearing the same thing.
I get to wear that dress this time.
But see, that's kind of a cool thing, isn't it? I mean, to have someone, even if they're on opposite sides of the country, or you've got someone who's that much of a like mind and that good of a friend, that you go, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal after all. Even if you are wearing the same thing or you're of a like mind, at least you know you've got someone who's got that much of your back, right?
And people think we're the same person. They think we're one author writing under two names, because we write so similarly, or they think we're sisters. We've gotten that before. We were at a conference, year and a half ago, and a woman walked up and she looked at our name badges and she goes, I thought you were the same person. I'm like, nope, we are not.
I think the biggest compliment that can be paid, though, is that the two of you wrote this book, but it's one voice. I mean, it really is one voice. It's one unified voice, and it's a very good voice. It's a strong voice. And it's an excellent book. I mean, through and through, it's a very strong, excellent book, and it keeps you riveted throughout. So I don't know what else you can ask. I mean, you could have two people write a book, and it could be very disjointed, and it could have two separate strong voices trying to fight for one point of view, but the two of you are seamless throughout, and it's a very good story. So I don't know what else you could shoot for in that project, you know.
When you co-write, it's a delicate balance. You have to write with someone you trust, and you have to check your ego. Neither of us have big egos, so it was pretty easy to say, you know, let's have your character do this. And I'm not sitting there going, well, I wanted my character to do that sort of thing. Not at all. We were just trading off back and forth. You know, obviously we each wrote from our characters' points of view, and it was pretty seamless.
Very seamless indeed. Well, folks, I encourage you to go get the book Echoroad. Kendra Elliot, Melinda Leigh are the authors. Again, I wanted to get you the word about the book without being too spoilerish, but it's got an exciting ending. I tell you, it's a pulse pounding ending. Even even if you start halfway through the book and go to the end, you can't even start halfway through the book and go to the end without spoiling everything about it. We pretty much set up the book for you so that you can jump into it. But there are characters in the book which I know we haven't even talked about yet that will lead you down that road to figuring out who the killer is eventually. We haven't even mentioned, gosh, I can't even mention some of the characters in the book. Otherwise we tip off who the killer is. But I'll put it to you this way, folks. You get this book, you're going to be thrilled. You're going to be entertained. You're going to love me for recommending it. I'll put it to you that way. Echoroad. We have a link in the description of this program. Kendra, Melinda, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on True Crime Tuesday. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Folks, it's time now for Jessica Freeburg to come in. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time again. The time you've all been looking forward to. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. And with that, we need a co-hostess. And with that, we'll bring in the smartest one I could find, the wittiest one I could find. Of course, the one that's a lot better looking than I am. And the one that brings the funny. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, Jessica Freeburg. Hi, Jess.
Hey, Tim.
You know, not only are we celebrating, a Vikings win with a Viking shirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
No, I didn't expect that this weekend. I got to tell you, over the weekend, I saw kind of an interesting thing on HBO. I don't know if you're a Sopranos fan or not. Are you a Sopranos fan by chance?
Yeah, I used to really dig it. I haven't seen it in quite a while, but
I know that, we're in I think this is this the 25th anniversary?
wow, way to make me feel really old.
Right. I think it was 1990. Was it 1999 that it came out? It was the first
Oh,
year.
wow.
Yeah. So we're in the 25th anniversary this year, and HBO is doing, they replayed all the episodes earlier in the year, back to back, all the seasons. They have a brand new documentary out called Wise Guy, David Chase and the Sopranos. So basically, and you can watch it on HBO. They're airing it at different times during the weekend. You can also find it on Max. And it's David Chase, and he's sitting down, and he is kind of waxing nostalgic. And they have different past interviews with different cast members that are on it as well. In fact, there's old footage of James Gandolfini on it, which is kind of eerie to watch.
Yeah, sad.
A little sad. And they also have footage from his funeral, in which,
Oh, wow.
which David Chase is giving some of the eulogy. It's a little sad to watch. And I mean, there's some real in-depth behind the scenes stuff. There's even script meetings, and Michael Imperioli is on it. He's talking about when he became a cast member, and or not a cast member, when he became a member of the writing team, and talked about what a pressure cooker it was to be a member of the writing team. Some interesting stuff behind the scenes of that. Again, it's called Wise Guy. I encourage you to go watch it. It's a little long. It's 2 parts. It's a 2-part movie, so it's actually 4 hours in length. So it's a little bit of a lengthy watch. But one of the interesting things, I think it's come out before, and when Gandolfini held out for more money, because he held out for almost $1 million an episode, it halted production for a bit. He felt bad about it. In fact, he felt really bad about it. He gave $30,000 to each crew member when he came back.
Oh.
And Drea DiMatteo said, well, we had a hell of a party with it. So also the the actor who played Carmela, she said she acted like she didn't get any money. She said, "Oh, you got money, or they got money? Well, it's time now for you to turn the camera off because, but I have a feeling she got money too. She just didn't want to admit that she got the $30,000.
So funny.
Yeah, but really interesting stuff. So if you're a fan of The Sopranos, that movie's out there on both HBO and on Max. So check that out. Before we get into Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals today, there's actually two semi-serious stories I want to read to you today because they're
Okay.
very interesting. One of them actually came from a couple of listeners. The first one comes from nobody. I saw it online. I wanted to read it to you guys, especially those of you who are mobbed up or like the mob stories, just like the Soprano stuff. We've talked about James Whitey Bulger in the past, famous Boston mob figure. Turns out an ex-mafia hitman has been sentenced to 25 years in the slaying of James Whitey Bulger. Forgive me for the pronunciation of his last name. He's Greek. I'm not sure if I got it right. So we'll see. A former mafia hitman was sentenced to 25 years in prison this past Friday in the 2018 fatal prison bludgeoning of notorious Boston gangster James Whitey Bulger. Federal prison Photios Freddy Gaius was sentenced in federal court in northern West Virginia after pleading guilty to voluntary manslaughter and assault resulting in serious bodily injury. Prosecutors said Gaius used a lock attached to a belt, repeatedly hitting the 89-year-old Bulger in the head hours after he arrived at the troubled U.S. penitentiary, Hazleton, from another lockup in Florida in October of 2018. Defense attorneys disputed that characterization, saying Gaius hit Bulger with his fist. So it wasn't the belt with the lock, but his fist.
Wow.
The 57-year-old Gaius already was serving a life sentence for previous violent crimes. The Justice Department said last year that it would not seek the death penalty against him in Bulger's killing. Interesting. Bulger, who ran the largely Irish gang in Boston in the 70s and 80s, also served as an FBI informant who ratted on his gang's main rival, according to the Bureau. Bulger strongly denied ever being a government informant. Bulger became one of the nation's most wanted fugitives after fleeing Boston in 1994, thanks to a tip from an FBI handler that he was about to be indicted. He was captured at age 81 after more than 16 years on the run, and convicted in 2013 of 11 killings and dozens of other gangland crimes. Another Hazleton prisoner, Massachusetts gangster Paul J. DiColagero, was sentenced to more than 4 years in prison in August on an assault charge in Bulger's killing. Prosecutors said he acted as a lookout for Gaius. A third inmate, Sean McKinnon, pleaded guilty in June to lying to FBI special agents. McKinnon was given no additional prison time and was returned to Florida to finish his supervised release. He had served a sentence for stealing guns from a firearms dealer. According to court records, prisoners found out ahead of time that Bulger would be arriving at the West Virginia facility. DiColagero and Gaius spent about 7 minutes in Bulger's cell during the attack. A prisoner testified to grand jury that DiColagero told him Bulger was a snitch and they planned to kill him as soon as he came into their unit. Gaius was a close associate of the mafia and acted as an enforcer, but was not an official made member because he is Greek, not Italian. He and his brother were sentenced to life in 2011 for their roles in several violent crimes, including the 2003 killing of Adolfo Big Al Bruno, who's a Genovese crime family boss in Springfield, Massachusetts. Another mobster ordered Bruno's killing because he was upset that Bruno had talked to the FBI. Now, plea deals for Gaius, DiColagero, and McKinnon were disclosed May 13th. Gaius and DiColagero were identified as suspects shortly after Bulger's death, but they remained uncharged for years as the investigation dragged on. After the killing, experts criticized Bulger's transfer to Hazleton, where workers had already been sounding the alarm about violence and understaffing, and his placement in the general population instead of more protective housing. So there you go. They've found somebody for Bulger's killing and prosecuted, but not life and not the death penalty. 25 years. That's it.
Yeah, it's very premeditated. They were planning on it before he even got there. And he probably knew going in that he was going to be at the very least attacked because he was a snitch.
Yeah.
or accused of being a snitch.
Yeah. And set up, he was in general population, Gen Pop, no protection whatsoever. And, he claims he wasn't an informant. He claims he had no special deal. He was treated like he had no special deal and paid the price. So kind of an odd little story. In odd too, that he had no protection from the mob. He had no protection from his fellow mob members. He was kind of a man on an island. So at the end, so you can't say really it's a sad story. I mean,
Yeah.
he lived life on top and he died at the bottom, so to speak. So interesting movies have been made about him, that's for sure, including that one with was it Johnny Depp who played him, I think, at one time?
Was it?
Yeah, I think so. So
I can envision that one. I can't think of the name of it.
yeah, I can't think of it now either, but yeah, somebody will remind me. Somebody will email me. Tim, you got to remember.
Email us and remind us, and then we can rewatch it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Public Enemy #1. Was that it?
No, I think he played.
No.
Didn't he play Dillinger in that one?
Oh, yeah.
I think. I'm not sure. He's played.
Not Donnie Brasco. Donnie Brasco was like one of my favorite Johnny Depp movies of all time. I love it so much.
Yeah, yeah. And didn't he play? Who did he play in? What was the one with Pee Wee Herman?
Don't remember.
You remember the Coke movie? No, he did play. No, he didn't play Bulger in that one. Who did he play in that one? He played. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. No, he played George in that one. Remember? Gosh, now
I'm gonna have to dust off all my Johnny Depp movies and just rewatch them all.
Somebody will remind me. They're gonna be like, the one yeah, I don't know. People will remind me. I'm gonna get a bunch of emails now that'll tell me. Okay, this next one was initially brought to me by a listener by the name of Jim. My good friend Bijou out in Los Angeles then sent this story to me, and it is alarming, folks. So we'll automatically tell you if you're a little squeamish, if you're a little, this is alarming. I actually told my foot doctor about this, my podiatrist about this story because it is that alarming. So there is some trigger warnings on this story. It takes place in France. A man is accused of plotting his wife's rape by at least 50 strangers over almost 10 years at a French trial. This story is disturbing, Jess. A man is on trial accused of repeatedly drugging and raping his wife, as well as encouraging dozens of other men to rape her in their home while she was unconscious. This happened again and again and again. Explain. The alleged victim, 72-year-old Giselle, appeared in a courtroom in Avignon, France on this past Monday, for the opening of the trial. Sunglasses on, her daughter and 2 sons by her side. For the next 4 months, she will come to face with her accused abusers, most of whom are complete strangers to her. Prosecutors say the defendant, 71-year-old Dominique, would recruit men online to rape his wife after drugging her with sleeping pills and anti-anxiety medication. CNN, the news source for this article, was not using the full names of the man and wife to protect the identities of other family members. Now, Dominique is facing 9 charges, including several counts of rape with aggravating circumstances, the drugging of a victim to commit rape, and the sharing of images related to those assaults. Prosecutors were able to put together a case because Dominique documented a number of the alleged assaults on camera. Held in pretrial detention since 2020, courtroom sketches show the defendant entered the courtroom in a black T-shirt and sat facing his wife. He recognizes that he's done what he's done. His lawyer, Beatrice Zavaro, told journalists in court on Monday there was not an ounce of contestation during the whole investigation. In the dock, the men accused of taking part in these rapes sat with their heads down. So yes, they were in court too, and there's talk of prosecuting them as well. Police have identified at least 92 sexual assaults committed by 72 men.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that poor woman.
Their ages range from 26 to 74.
Oh, I'm so bothered by this story.
50 of them were identified, and most have been charged with either aggravated or attempted rape and are standing trial alongside Giselle's husband. Now, the ordeal lasted almost 10 years, with the first alleged assaults beginning back in 2011. The crimes came to light in 2020 when Dominique was caught filming under women's skirts in a shopping center.
What a pervert. He's just like an all-around messed up dude.
Yeah. After police seized his phone and computer, they say they found evidence of the rapes. An investigation was opened and the wife was made aware of the abuse she had endured for almost 10 years. Court documents show that Dominique has told investigators that other men were all aware his wife had been drugged without her knowledge, something a number of the other defendants deny. Christopher Huguenin Verschow, who's a lawyer for one of the men, told CNN affiliate BFM TV on Tuesday that his client admits that sexual relations did in fact take place, but that they took place as part of a sexual game between a husband and his wife that he was invited to, adding that he was not aware that Giselle was drugged or under medication. Throughout the trial, Giselle will see and hear what was done to her. Oh, that's got to be a nightmare. On Tuesday, she sat through a reading of the horrific acts that she was subjected to, as well as the arguments from each of the defendants' lawyers. It was very difficult, one of her lawyers, Stéphane Babineau, or maybe Stefania or Stéphane Babineau, told CNN on Tuesday. It was unbearable for her to hear what people said. They thought she was pretending to sleep, oh God, and were convinced it was consensual, he added. Last Friday, ahead of the trial, another one of her lawyers, Antoine Arabalo Camus, told reporters she had no idea what had been inflicted on her, so she has no memory of the rapes that she had suffered for 10 years. Giselle could have requested the trial be held privately, but Babineau told CNN she wanted it to be a public trial so that everyone can hear and get an idea of the excuses given by men in such circumstances. Now, that's incredibly brave of her to open up and make this trial public. Giselle's daughter says her mother sought medical advice for the memory loss and extreme fatigue she was experiencing as a side effect of the drug. Speaking to French media in several interviews, she said her mother saw doctors and saw neurologists and that the medical profession failed to detect the problem. The daughter has now started an awareness campaign called Mendor Pa, which means don't put me to sleep, on drug-facilitated sexual assault. The trial began on September 2nd in the southern French town of Avignon, and a verdict is due on December 20th of this year. The other part of this story, which TMZ reported, which Bijou sent me the TMZ story, is that the daughter believes she was drugged and pimped out as well.
Oh my gosh.
So it's not just the mother that's involved in this.
Wow. I just don't think that the defendants who participated have any excuse, even if they thought she was pretending to be sleeping.
Yeah.
If someone seems to be sleeping, it's a no.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just a no.
Well, it's just a icky thing all the way around. I mean, the TMZ story goes a little bit more in depth and says that Dominique actually went online, the husband, and would recruit these guys to come in and rape his wife.
He's just like some sick, extra weird voyeur.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he'd videotape these things. So he had videos upon videos of his wife being raped while she was unconscious.
Oh, that's so sad. That's a terrible story.
Terrible story. Let's get into dumb crimes, stupid criminals. We're going to Florida, Jess.
All right, let's go.
Where a Florida man wearing an ankle monitor attempts a kidnapping in a Walmart parking lot.
Oh no, so many bad things about this one.
That's right. Here's the thing. The legs were flailing out of the trunk, but here's the thing. If you're already wearing an ankle monitor, you probably shouldn't be attempting a kidnapping.
No, definitely not.
Right. Police in Orlando, Florida, arrested a man wearing an ankle monitor who allegedly tried to kidnap a woman in a Walmart parking lot. Officers with the Orlando Police Department responded around 4:30 p.m. on Monday to a Walmart on South Goldenrod Road near Marketplace Drive for an armed robbery and attempted kidnapping. Police say the suspect, 54-year-old Juan Marcos Perez, was pacing the parking lot before approaching the victim. Perez pulled out a knife and held it to the woman's throat before forcing her into the trunk of her car. According to a probable cause arrest affidavit obtained by local Fox affiliate WOFL, the victim tried to fight back. "If you keep this up, I'll slice your throat," Perez allegedly told the victim. Police said a bystander intervened and Perez ran away. The witness later told the cops she saw the victim's legs flailing out of the trunk and Perez tried to push her in. That according to the affidavit. The witness stopped her car and got to see if the woman needed help. That's when Perez reportedly ran off. Cops identified Perez as a possible suspect and learned he's a registered sex offender with a previous conviction for kidnapping and also was on parole. Probably not the smartest thing if you're on parole to try this.
He just seems like he can't help himself. He's a sicko.
Yep. His parole officer positively identified him as a suspect via a surveillance camera, according to an affidavit. The parole officer told cops that Perez was wearing a GPS ankle monitor. Data from the monitor allegedly showed he was at the Walmart at the time of the armed robbery and kidnapping. Perez was arrested on Tuesday and taken to the Orange County Jail on charges of armed robbery, attempted kidnapping, and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. He remains there without bond. His next court date is scheduled for today.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very brave of that woman to intervene, though. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
A
Well,
woman was the one who stopped him. I would have been afraid.
good for her.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brave, but at the same time, good for her. Good for her.
Yeah.
We go to Las Vegas for this next one, Jess. A Las Vegas woman is arrested for stealing a casket with a body inside.
Well, that's weird.
Maybe
Why?
maybe they couldn't afford the internment. You know? Patricia Sierra is charged with grand larceny, burglary of a business, and removing, transferring, or disturbing human remains. Yikes. Let's see here. A Las Vegas woman faces multiple charges after authorities say she broke into a funeral home, stole a casket with a body inside, then dumped the body outside the building. This according to KLAS TV in Las Vegas. 47-year-old Patricia Sierra is charged with grand larceny, burglary, and disturbing human remains following the incident at the Affordable Cremation and Burial Service funeral home on Charleston Boulevard. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department received a call around 3 a.m. on August 27th, reporting a suspicious person lying face down in front of the funeral home along with a casket, according to police. I'll give you a little shot of what this woman looks like here, Jess. There she is right there.
Oh, wow. She had to have been on something.
You think?
She looks angry.
She does look
Like really mad.
The caller also noted signs of a break-in at the business. Now, when officers arrived, they found the casket on a cart near the sidewalk with the body laying face down on landscaping rocks in front of the building.
Terrible.
Isn't that?
Oh my gosh.
A door to the funeral home was open and there was broken glass inside. Now, officers also found flower petals scattered on the floor leading out the door. Investigators identified the body as belonging to someone whose viewing had taken place at the funeral home the previous day, August 26th. Surveillance footage from the scene showed a woman, later identified as Sierra, breaking a front window, unlocking the door, and then carting the casket outside, according to police. On August 29th, a 911 caller recognized Sierra at a 7-Eleven store on Valley View Boulevard near Sahara Avenue. Officers responded, and according to the police report, Sierra admitted being the woman in the surveillance footage and claimed she blacked out from drinking 6 beers and had no malicious intent.
Wow. 6 beers? That's what you do when you've had 6 beers?
You go steal a body, evidently. That sounds like a frat prank,
Wow, that is wild.
I guess. She did express regret, stating she did not remember the incident due to substance abuse issues. Boy, how would you like to sit around in group or even an Al-Anon meeting, or I'm sorry, it's not Al-Anon. It's that's for people supporting alcoholics. An Alcoholics Anonymous meeting.
Yeah.
And be like, "Hi, Sierra, alcoholic. I got drunk and stole a dead body." Where do you go from there?
Yeah, she wins. She wins all the awards for being the most interesting person in the meeting.
Yep. Do you pour her the first cup of coffee and give her a cookie, or what do you do?
But that's 6 beers. Come on, like 6 beers and
That's
meth
yeah,
or
that's a light.
heroin or like something. Like that's not just beer.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if you had to play the bail game on this one, stealing a dead body, other charges, how much do you think the judge set the bail at?
I hope several $1,000s.
Yes, several thousand, but how many thousand to be exact?
Okay, let's say 40.
Oh, you're swinging high there, sister. Bring it down. It's Las Vegas after all.
Seems like such a terrible thing to do. Is it like in the single digits? Like 5,000?
Nope, I'll give you one more guess. Go a little higher.
A little higher. Okay, 10.
You're close. $11,000.
Okay.
That still seems way too low.
It does.
Desecrating a body?
Such a terrible, terrible thing to do. Just like dump them face down in the rock.
Yeah, yeah. Sierra was in custody as of Wednesday. So as of last Wednesday, she was still in custody. She hadn't come up with the 11 grand. A horrible thing. I don't care if you're drunk or not. Just to break into a funeral home. I'm not going to think about it. Okay, we'll move on. We're still in Florida. Well, we're going to go back to Florida. We were in Florida before. There's something to be said about finding a good lawyer. There's another thing to be said about what your lawyer does with your retainer.
Oh.
This lawyer in Florida is accused of stealing $1.7 million from his clients and gambling the money at a casino.
Oh, wow.
This is what a good lawyer does not look like, Jess.
That's a bad lawyer.
That's a bad lawyer right there. And you can follow along on video, folks, and see what we're looking at. Which, by the way, you can find that video on darknessradioshow.com.
He's got like the neck as thick as his head going on.
Yes, he does. Yes, he definitely looks like he's been working the neck at the edge.
Yes.
That's for sure. We go to Lake Wales, Florida. I'm not familiar. Oh, it's outside of Tampa. That's where it is. An attorney is accused of stealing over $1.7 million from the trust fund of a dead person and then gambling the money away at a casino in Tampa. Nice guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. Jason Penrod of Family Elder Law Firm in Lake Wales was arrested by Marion County deputies on a warrant issued by the Polk County Sheriff's Department. Penrod faces multiple counts of felony grand theft. According to the PCSO, Penrod's arrest stems from an ongoing investigation after he was found to have stolen over $1.7 million from the living trust of a dead person in Polk County. At the time of his arrest, deputies say Penrod was distraught. $1.7 million worth of distraught.
He's distraught because he's in big trouble.
That's right. He claimed he had lawyers handling the issue. Hopefully they're not in the same law firm. I wouldn't trust them. And he refused to speak with detectives at the time he was arrested. While detectives investigated, it was learned that Penrod flew to Pennsylvania to confess his theft to the adult son and daughter of one of his dead clients. Oh, bad form. I mean, totally bad form. Yeah, I have something I'd like to confess to you. I took your dead relative's money. Sorry about that. But I hope they forgive me too.
What was the point of that? Like, why did he go confess? Was that going to make it easier on him?
But I had
Still in trouble, buddy.
I had a really good time. Played Keno.
It's just trying to double your money.
Yeah, I was hoping to come out with 3.4, but I ended up losing 1.7.
That's someone with a gambling problem, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, yeah. But I hope you'll forgive me. And this is the part of my treatment where I make amends. So, forgivesies, you know. Deputies allege that Penrod wrote a letter to the son and daughter stating he was dealing with mental and personal stress, and to cope, he would gamble. Oh, it's all forgiven then. It's only 1.7 million. He explained his gambling had gotten so bad he exhausted all of his family savings and his law firm's profits.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, then you're forgiven.
Yeah.
Penrod explained to the two siblings that he would transfer funds from their trust account into his personal account so he could gamble at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino, which is now richer than ever, thanks to his actions. Detectives with Polk County learned that Penrod would visit the Seminole Hard Rock Casino in Tampa multiple times a year, where he lost over, guess what, $1.7 million. There's a shot.
Wow. Was it all from the same trust? That's so terrible. That's so much.
Yeah. Penrod's bank records show he stole $1,705,000 from the victim's trust account and put it into his own personal bank accounts. Deputies say so far, his bank records show Penrod wired $1.2 million to the Hard Rock Casino and also withdrew $24,511.45 from ATMs at the Hard Rock. They don't have anything else other than casino over there, do they? I mean, other than hotel rooms.
Yeah, probably not.
Maybe that was for eats and for lodging. PCSO's investigation also found that a former associate of Penrod had discovered the misuse of client funds and reported him to the Bar Association. Penrod had since reported himself to the Florida State Supreme Court for misuse of funds from two clients' trusts. Oh, so he's done it more than once.
Oh, wow.
Jeez. Detectives are still investigating his finances. How much do you think he's stolen in total? If he did one client for 1.7 million, how much do you think he has out there?
Probably double that at least. You know, he's got it's like a serial killer. You know about 5 victims, really there's 15.
Oh, my God. Well, if you think he's bad, Jess, are you ready for this?
Yes.
We're going to Baltimore, where, you know, some parents are really bad when it comes to watching their kids play sports. Some are serial ragers and they yell at the kids. Some people are serial ragers and yell at the refs. This guy got really mad at the coach and pointed a gun.
What?
Yep. This dad pointed a gun at the coach during his son's basketball game and got a federal prison sentence.
What is wrong with people?
Some people just can't hold it in, Jess.
How embarrassing for that kid.
Right? Do you think the
Can
kid
you imagine?
quit sports after that?
He probably moved.
He probably did. Probably moved to a different state. A Baltimore man who pointed a loaded gun at a coach during an argument about his son's playing time at a youth basketball game received 8 years in prison on Wednesday at a sentencing in federal court. 50-year-old Troy Spencer previously pleaded guilty to gun charges in connection with the confrontation at, I believe this is Lathwalk Elementary Middle School in North Baltimore's Ramblewood neighborhood, where he pulled a gun on one of his son's coaches during a basketball game on March 6, 2023, causing a panic in the school's gymnasium.
Wow. So this wasn't even high school level. This was either elementary or middle school.
Yeah.
That's pretty stupid.
Although, if I'm fighting for my son's playing time at that point, as long as I got the gun out, I'd say, anybody else's son need playing time? You know, I mean, if you're, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah.
Just saying. U.S. District Judge Julie R. Rubin said a lengthy prison term was necessary to protect the public from Spencer and deter others from bringing guns into sensitive public spaces. The fact that you would go to your boy's elementary school with a loaded semi-automatic weapon is just terrifying, Rubin said. Spencer's son was in 5th grade at the time of the incident. 5th grade.
Oh,
Can you imagine raging about a fifth grader's basketball game?
no, because those are like the years where none of them really know what they're doing. It's painful as a parent to watch because they're all bad.
I mean,
It's just,
I've gotten upset about refereeing at my nephew's hockey game, but not to the point where I'm pulling a gun on anybody.
no, I just don't get it. It's so weird to me why people take it all so seriously.
Spencer pleaded guilty in June to possession of a firearm by a prohibited person and possession of a firearm in a school zone. He is prohibited from possessing a firearm due to a 1997 second-degree murder conviction for which he served about 8 years in prison. Prosecutors wrote in their sentencing memorandum. I can't even say the words because I'm shocked. The defense and prosecution agreed on a recommended sentence range of about 4 to 8 years. Wow. Which was higher than the federal sentencing guideline as part of the plea agreement. On Wednesday, prosecutors sought the highest sentence of 96 months, while Jennifer Smith, Spencer's defense attorney, asked for 57 months. Troy Spencer pulled a gun in the middle of an elementary school gymnasium in front of dozens of children and their families, Assistant U.S. Attorney Jacob Gordine said. In a time of mass shootings and active shooter drills at schools, he said, children are especially traumatized by the sight of a gun in school. Spencer confronted the coaches because he was unhappy about his son's playing time. Prosecutors wrote in their memo, as the verbal argument escalated, Spencer pulled a Taurus G2C 9mm semi-automatic handgun from his waistband and pointed it at the coach. The sight of the weapon caused a panic as the young basketball players and their families fled the gym, Gordine said. The volunteer coaches managed to wrestle the gun away from Spencer, thank God, who fled in a vehicle and was arrested a week later. The gun, which one of the coaches turned into police, was loaded with 7 rounds of 9mm ammunition, prosecutors wrote in court papers. Rubin called the incident hair-raising and said deterring others was a key reason for her sentence. Wow. Smith, who's Spencer's defense attorney, said that Spencer was experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder when he went to the basketball game. He had been shot 11 times just a few months earlier, and the game was one of the first times leaving his home since the attack. He was not a reasonable person that day, is what she says. Well, then don't go to the game.
Right. Stay home.
Yeah. Wow. Let's lighten it up just a little bit from a gun at a game to trying to avoid police while you're in the drive-thru at Timmy Hortons. We're going to Canada. This guy is a Ford Bronco and he knows how to use it, Jess. The suspect and the incident was called terrifying as a suspect tries to drive over a cruiser to escape after police surround the stolen Bronco at the Mississauga drive-thru. It's a Timmy Hortons. You got to get your double-double, right?
I've never been to one. They must be really good, though.
Oh, you never been to Timmy Hortons?
No.
You got to get your Tim holes, if you know what I mean. I mean, they're actual, like little, they're little donut holes, little Tim
holes.
Yeah. That's how I like it.
I don't know if I want to eat a Tim hole, Tim.
Well, you know what they say, once you, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Once you put your tongue on a Tim hole, you never want to stop. I don't know. I don't know if that's what they say, but a call about a suspicious vehicle ended with a Ford Bronco sitting atop a Peel police cruiser at a Tim Hortons drive-thru in Mississauga last Tuesday. Peel police said they received a call around 6:30 p.m. from an individual who was concerned about a person in the area of Westwood Square Shopping Mall near Goreway Drive and a 2-day drive. Is that a real street? The man had allegedly stolen items from a store a couple of weeks ago and had returned with weapons. Because why not? Police located the vehicle and determined that it had been stolen. Officers surrounded the stolen vehicle. A number of cruisers were then damaged, police said. Video circulating on social media shows the large red and black Bronco sitting atop the cruiser. So here, I can show you a picture, Jess.
Wow, got on top of it even, huh?
Yep, looks like that.
Wow, he really got after it.
Yeah, he's trying to get away with his double in Tim holes, if you know what I mean.
I mean, the back wheels are right up there,
Oh yeah, he tried
right on the hood.
to pull a monster truck on the deal. Tried to get away. In the video, police arrived to box in the vehicle in what appears to be a drive-through window. The driver initially tries to reverse, but sees that he cannot back away. An officer then gets out of his vehicle and points a gun at the passenger side window and tries to instruct the driver. After a moment, the vehicle is then seen accelerating forward and attempting to go over the police cruiser to escape. However, the vehicle is unable to fully mount the cruiser, if you know what I mean, and eventually backs off, revealing a shattered front window on the cruiser. Yikes. The scene unfolded on a warm evening while it was still light out. We're trying to set a romantic scene for it. Before a crowd of onlookers, the sequence of events was terrifying, a witness told CP24. I honestly thought the police, were going to shoot. He said police once tased the suspect when he eventually climbed out of the passenger side window, and officers then tackled him. So it was romantic. See what I'm saying? The driver was eventually taken into custody by police. They said Wednesday that 25-year-old Ramanpreet Singh had been charged with 3 counts of possession of property obtained by crime, flight from a peace officer, dangerous operation, and obstructing a police officer. He has been held for a bail hearing. So there you go. Ramanpreet Singh trying to
It's a
drive.
wild one.
Yeah, trying to drive over a cop in the Timmy Hortons drive-thru. It's that good.
He's just trying to get out of there with his Tim holes.
That's right. You never went to the one in the Mall of America?
No, never. Is it still there?
I don't know if it is or not. I don't remember if they folded up or not. There's one in St. Cloud, I think.
Oh, well, I'm gonna have to find it. I'm gonna get me some Tim holes and take a selfie and send it to you.
Yeah, when we're up at the Palmer, we'll have to take a side trip to St. Cloud and see if the Timmy Hortons is still there.
Yes.
I'll have to look it up. My gosh, you haven't lived until you've had some Tim holes. Just saying. That's all I got to say about that.
We'll just leave that one there.
We'll let that one lie for a moment. In the meantime, we'll go to Kenosha, Wisconsin, where this story was sent to us by one of our listeners. By the way, if you have a story for us for Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals, send it in, tim@darknessradio.com. This Kenosha dumb criminal did the ultimate in dumb crimes, Jess. This man broke into the city hall to charge his cell phone.
Well, that was the choice.
If you want to look at the man who actually did this, there he is.
Oh, he's like, I just needed another bar so I could call my mom.
That's right. He just needed a bar to call mom. A Pleasant Prairie man is accused of doing something very dumb. Police and prosecutors say that 27-year-old Damerol Levon Roy broke into City Hall on August 29th to charge his cell phone. It was during the popular Peanut Butter and Jam concert. Seen a lot of Peanut Butter and Jam, by the way?
No, that was a band.
Evidently it is. Yeah. Peanut Butter and Jam. So there were many witnesses to him breaking into City Hall to plug in his phone. He was charged the next day with disorderly conduct and criminal damage to property. Yeah. Many people, including KCE, thought that some type of felony would apply, but Assistant District Attorney Daniel Tombasco tells KCE that the dollar amount of damage was below $2,500, so he can't be charged with a felony. One lawyer KCE spoke with said that technically Moreland could have been charged with burglary. The element that seems missing here is that the defendant entered the building with intent to steal electricity, that is. The argument could be made that Moreland intended to steal the electricity from the taxpayers. It does seem creative, but may not hold up with a jury. So there you go. We head back to Las Vegas for this one, Jess. This next one has to do, believe it or not, with a man of God who had ungodly intentions.
I'm already intrigued.
This Las Vegas crime has to do with a pastor who went there originally, I think, for a good time, but ended up in a hotel room with guns and drugs.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Whoops.
Somewhere he took a wrong turn.
That's right. KLAS is reporting that Las Vegas Metro Police arrested an evangelical pastor for allegedly having guns and drugs in a hotel room in an incident that initially sparked a counterterrorism response. That according to 8 News Now investigators, 61-year-old David McGee faces drug and gun related charges connected to his August 20th arrest at the Strat Hotel, Casino, and Tower. McGee was a senior pastor at the Bridge Fellowship outside Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Though its building shuttered in 2023, the evangelical ministry continues online and through radio programs. On August 20th, drug and counterterrorism detectives responded to the hotel after McGee reported a piece of property missing, according to documents. McGee told police that he was visiting Las Vegas from North Carolina and had arrived in a private jet to find his daughter. Oh, this gets good. When officers asked McGee if he had any weapons in his room, he reportedly replied, "Yes, I have a gun in my guitar case."
Wow.
Oh, that'll get him going. Hotel employees had previously warned McGee about the policy after he allegedly brought a shotgun to his room days earlier. It's always the guys who bring guns to their hotel room, isn't it? The discovery of firearms, including an AR-15 with a scope, prompted responding officers to suspect McGee was planning a 1 October-style shooting, documents said. Since the 2017 mass shooting, Metro Police have investigated suspicious situations where multiple firearms are located inside hotels on the Las Vegas Strip. On the day of McGee's arrest, social media posts incorrectly claimed that police's response to the hotel for a failed terror plot. Metro Police sent out a news release saying the information was false. Inside the hotel room, police say they found suspected fentanyl pills and powder. Oh, the party gets better. McGee advised the detective that he brought the fentanyl from North Carolina on his private jet to Las Vegas and paid approximately $1,000. McGee stated that he was a user of fentanyl and intended to distribute the fentanyl to his daughter when he locates her.
Oh my, that's some father-daughter bonding.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? In the days before his trip to Las Vegas, McGee posted on a public Facebook page that he was traveling to find his daughter, who he believed was living in a flood-controlled tunnel. Boy, this just gets weirder and weirder, doesn't it?
It's so weird.
Yeah. Please pray for me as I go get my daughter from the worst and scariest place for my daughter in America, the Las Vegas tunnels, McGee posted. On August 19th, a day before his arrest, McGee posted a photo of himself in front of the Strat. McGee has not posted since August 20th. Records said that he did not appear for his probable cause hearing in Las Vegas Justice Court on August 21st due to medical records. The judge did not set bail in the case as prosecutors had not filed a criminal complaint. McGee was due to return to court on December 19th. On August 29th, McGee's wife posted on his behalf, writing he had been in touch with their daughter and that he was asking for prayers for his health, wisdom, safety, and discernment. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid, is 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. Just a few grains can kill a person. Metro Police did not take a booking photo of McGee when they brought him to the Clark County Detention Center. The 8 News Now investigators have repeatedly attempted to contact McGee and his wife for comment. In 2015, a couple told 8 News Now's Winston-Salem area sister station that McGee banned them from the church in a Facebook post. Interesting story. It's a bizarre story at that.
Very strange.
Now, those tunnels are known for having homeless people in them.
Yeah. But he was using the drugs too, because for a minute I'm like, well, maybe he was taking them to entice her to get her to come home because he's trying to, make her safe. But sounds like he was also using them. So
yeah, he was also using them. Bizarre story.
So weird.
Very bizarre indeed. Very bizarre indeed. Our next story is going to get even weirder, Jess. We're going to get into our not safe for work part of our program right now. And we're going to start with a bit of a violent story, which actually took place in a school. And it's going to be a bit disturbing.
Okay, I'll brace myself.
So with that, put the kids to bed, even if it's the middle of the afternoon. Put them to bed anyways. They probably need a nap. If you're at work, put in your earbuds or turn your speaker down. You've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. A vice principal instructed a student. Again, we're going to Florida for this, I believe. A vice principal and student. Let me try this again. Vice principal instructed a student to delete a video of a teacher putting another student in a chokehold instead of reporting classroom abuse.
Ooh,
This, according to a sheriff. If you're ready for this story.
I don't like it. I already don't like it, Tim.
Yeah. By the way, the vice principal called this a complete betrayal. I know, right? Let's
I'm pretty sure the betrayal is of the child that was in the chokehold.
right. A vice principal in Florida is reportedly out of a job after she not only failed to report a classroom brawl between a teacher and a student, but also instructed another student who recorded the incident to delete the chokehold footage. This, according to authorities. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office said that the chokehold incident itself at Progress Village Middle School happened in mid-January and initially resulted in the March arrest of 39-year-old teacher Benny Leverett, who went on to resign from his job for allegedly restricting the student's ability to breathe in the felony child abuse case. This, according to local NBC affiliate WFLA, citing a Hillsborough County Public Schools statement. The video shows a chaotic scene inside a classroom where students looked on as a teacher identified as Leverett for several minutes allegedly put a 14-year-old student in a chokehold. Another student, seemingly the one recording the incident, could be heard shouting, "He's dying, you're killing him." Sheriff Chad Cronister reacted to Fabian's September 4th arrest by calling the video deeply troubling and slamming the former assistant principal for a complete betrayal of trust. It is deeply troubling that a teacher would harm a student, but even more so when a person in a position of authority fails to do the right thing and report the crime. This is a complete betrayal of trust within our community, he said. I'm proud of the witness who stepped up and did the right thing by reporting the incident, ensuring law enforcement could step in and bring justice for the victim. So that's the complete betrayal. I'm sorry, I got that wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I agree with.
Yeah. But a bizarre story. That's for sure. Says here, the school district, for its part, reportedly said neither Fabian nor Leverett has been on our campus since last February, that Fabian was never allowed to return to the school from that month on, and that she was ultimately let go. So that's pretty much the end of that story. Our next story, Jess, has to do with, you're not going to believe this either. Okay, continuing with not safe for work stories. A man accused of exposing himself in stores has been bailed out by a fund connected to the church.
I said, oh, we're back to the church.
We're back to the church. That's right. We're going to Concord, New Hampshire, where a man accused of exposing himself 2 times in the past week and a half. So there was a little bit of a break there. 2 times in a week and a half. Was bailed out of jail on similar charges this summer by a fund associated with the Universalist Unitarian Church. 27-year-old Mateo Riley is accused of exposing himself to a woman on Tuesday at a TJ Maxx in Concord, hours after he pleaded guilty to exposing himself to a 16-year-old girl in a Concord Walmart in May.
Oh man, he's hitting all the discount stores.
Yes, he is. Well, sometimes you just need to free yourself when you're in a TJ Maxx. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't know what that means. I was really scared, said the woman who said she saw him at the TJ Maxx. I was nervous. I really don't know what to do, or didn't know what to do. The woman has asked not to be identified. Police said Riley was arrested in July in connection with the earlier incident, and bail was set at $250. His bail was paid for by the Unitarian Universalist Action Network's Community Bail Fund. The organization's website, the fund is meant to free people stuck in jail as they await trial. The website said the fund is used mostly in misdemeanor cases. And Riley was facing misdemeanor charges. This is Mateo Riley, but here, in case you ever see him freeing himself in TJ Maxx, you'll see him
I'll
coming.
run the other way.
Yes, if you see him coming, not literally, but if you see him coming, that's what he looks.
I'll just brace myself and start laughing.
Yeah. Put that thing away, Mateo. Our next story has to do with a teacher with a porn past. It turns out that she began her X-rated career while studying to be an educator.
Wow.
So she ramped up to it. I mean, whether it be teaching or the porn career, one or the other.
Such a unique combination.
It really is. I don't, I doubt most teachers think, I think I'll subsidize my teacher career with porn or my schooling with porn or.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them do have part-time jobs, but typically they're at like TJ Maxx or something. They're not normally pornographic.
Not normally OnlyFans or anything like that. The teacher whose X-rated past might get her fired from a California middle school began filming explicit videos 6 years ago when she was studying to be a teacher, according to the porn world veteran who takes credit for discovering her. Yes, there's a porn world veteran out there taking credit for discovering her. 31-year-old science teacher at an Oxnard public school, Stacy Hallis, this week was placed on leave after students reported finding some of her videos during online searches. As the Smoking Gun previously reported, videos and photos depict Hallis, she's pictured to my right, but you can't see her, engaging in a wide variety of sex acts. Now, most of those shoots were done by Peter Romero, who told the Smoking Gun that Hallis was one of my favorite models, that's in quotes. Romero, who operates several adult websites, such as the utterly not safe for work petergirls.com and povporn.com, added that he did more than a dozen shoots with Hallis, who was working at the time as an emergency medical technician. Romero said his first shoot with Hallis on December 10th of 2005 occurred in the home outside of Los Angeles. During that session, Hallis was photographed and videotaped for 3 different websites, each of which offered different porn specialties. For example, Romero noted, petergirls.com focused on solo activities, we'll just put it that way, while pointofviewporn.com offers videos shot from the point of view of, well, you get it, the cameraman, who is seen doing his thing with the actress.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm trying to.
Okay, I get it.
Nice ways. Right. In the point of view videos shot that first day, Romero said he played the role of the lens man. Well, how nice for him.
Yeah, what a job.
Yeah. After he relocated to San Diego in 2006, Romero said that Hallis would drive nearly 200 miles south from her Ventura County home to his residence for shoots. I'm trying to be an adult here, Jess, I swear. One video shot there featured Hallis trysting with a delivery man for Big Sausage Pizza. That's the name of the video. Big Sausage Pizza.
So clever.
Didn't say they were original, just said they were videos. Before every session, Hallis signed a release form, said Romero, who estimated that she earned a total of about, see, this is sad, she only got $10,000 for the shoots.
Wow, that is pretty sad.
And it's ruining her career.
Yeah, I mean, it's not worth it in the long run if you can't have your day job.
Right.
Unless she goes big because of all this and she's able to make a living doing it.
That's the thing. Most of these movies don't do squat. I mean, they do squat, but not like that. I mean, you know. Romero said that his wife had recruited Hallis after spotting her videos on MySpace. You remember MySpace?
Wow. His wife recruited her. They're a team.
Yeah.
Wow.
In a bid to capitalize on publicity surrounding Hallis's removal from the classroom at Richard B. Haydock Intermediate School, Romero has added her naked photos on the front pages of his membership-only websites. Okay, so here's where I have a problem. I'm not a prude by any means, right?
Right.
The kids are the ones who are seeking this stuff out. She's not the one publicizing it. Why is she the one in trouble?
Well, I mean, because she's putting it out there, and you can't really do that as a teacher.
But she's not.
But she's doing it. I mean, even though she knows it's going to be publicized, it's not like she thinks it's a private video for this guy.
But this is 2005. This was another lifetime ago. Most of these kids weren't even born.
Yeah.
I mean, if
I
this
don't
guy,
know.
honestly, if this guy had any morals, right? If she's a teacher now, if she were to call him up and say, listen, I'm a teacher now, don't you think this guy would take the videos down?
I mean, I don't know that he's operating with a full set of
Morals?
morals. I mean, I don't want to judge, but I mean, I'm just saying he probably looks at life a little differently than you and I do, Tim.
I think, honestly, there ought to be you people are going to laugh at me. I think there ought to be a morals clause in porn. There really should be. If
Yeah.
you know, if someone's operating in a career that's got a morality clause, such as teachers or whatever, and they're, they're doing that kind of work now, and they don't want to be involved in that industry anymore, and they call up whoever's got the videos or whatever, take them down. What's the point? If it was part of their past and they did it as part of their past, let the past lie.
In an ideal world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, kids are gonna want to get their thrills anyways. I mean,
If that was my kid's teacher and that was something she did 20 years ago, I wouldn't really care.
yeah.
I'd be like, let her keep teaching.
Yeah. I mean, I get it if it's a teacher that's modern day and she's decided she's going to supplement with an OnlyFans deal, then I get it. Then it's a morality choice.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And
But 20 years ago.
But 20 years ago, come on. And especially at the time she was an emergency tech. I mean, she wasn't even in the business at the time of teaching kids. It's to me, it's just like,
Yeah.
It was just a different.
I agree. I understand why she's in trouble.
I get it.
But it doesn't seem fair.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like, you dug up a past part of her life and now you want to torture her over a past part of her life. I'm not completely on board with it. And likewise, I'm not completely on board with this guy trying to make money off of it now anyways. I think he should take it down.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Is she getting a royalty check for this?
Oh,
I'd be really mad if I wasn't.
He's not giving her money for it.
No.
No.
Probably not.
No. He gave her the initial payment for it and that was it. So his whole thing is maybe you'll become famous again and you'll get hired somewhere else. Nope. Not the way it works, kid.
Bad situation.
Yep. Bad situation all the way around. All right. This is really not safe for work. And I told you we were in the not safe for work area. This one's just disgusting.
Oh, no.
This one is going to make you not ever want to stay in a hotel ever again.
Yeah. That hotel's already grossed me out. So, okay.
Yeah.
And I have to stay in one tomorrow. All right, let's go.
Oh boy. All right. Well, here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if this has been prosecuted, but this really is a crime. The headline on this one from the New York Post is, I caught a hotel worker sniffing and stealing my underwear. I feel so violated.
My dogs do that.
Yeah, but you can't prosecute them.
No.
A UK mom traveling with her 11-year-old son was petrified to discover a hotel worker sneaking into their room and sniffing and stealing her underwear. The horror began for Rara Armstrong, a self-employed model and content creator from Gloucestershire, when she was on a family vacation in May at the Hotel Ambassador Playa 2 in Spain. That's when a staff member looked her up on OnlyFans using her booking information, according to Kennedy News and Media. Now, you may say at this point, Jess, well, she had it coming. But No,
No,
everyone's entitled to their privacy.
that's right.
The 39-year-old who booked her visit through the travel site Love Holidays claimed she felt violated when the really overly friendly man inappropriately asked for her number and to take her out for coffee. By the way, I've got a picture over here for you, Jess. This is the 39-year-old in question right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice looking
I
lady.
can't blame the guy for wanting to sniff of her underwear. She's very pretty.
Oh, you can't.
No, I'm kidding. It's disgusting. She is pretty though.
You got me with that line. That was good. I'm a little flustered now. All right. When she declined, by the way, not the panty sniffing, but the coffee, saying she was accompanied by her son, he even said that the boy could come along for coffee.
Oh heavens.
I think he's a little desperate. She said no, but he persisted, asking for her number. I was like, no, and I felt really uncomfortable. In other words, he couldn't take a hint. Armstrong recalled to Kennedy News, he just wouldn't drop it. I said, I've got a boyfriend, just so he'd leave me alone. Hours later, she discovered that the worker, who proclaimed she was too sexy to resist, had subscribed to her OnlyFans, which left her a little bit creeped out. He was messaging me on OnlyFans and saying, oh, I can't believe you're in Spain. At first, I didn't click that was him. She explained, I was like, oh, have you seen me at the airport or somewhere? And he said, yeah, you're in the hotel where I work. And I thought, oh my God. He was looking me up online. He also told her she was too sexy to resist after she reprimanded him for being unprofessional. Though Armstrong didn't make a formal complaint to avoid ruining the first day of vacation, she did explicitly ask him to leave her alone, which he did until the last day of the trip. On the final day of her 5-day stay, the hotel employee went into their room while they were out, she said, and left a bottle of Prosecco as an apology, a gesture that left Armstrong feeling uneasy. She decided to set up her son's iPad to face the door and record before they went out again for the evening. Just 15 minutes later, a surreal moment was caught on camera. If you're ready for this. The employee could be seen entering the room and rummaging through what Armstrong said was her dirty laundry bag, pulling out her G-string thong, sniffing it, and stuffing it into his back pocket. Ew.
Yuck.
He sniffed them a few times. He carries on snooping. I don't know what he was looking for. As he leaves, he sniffs them again and puts them in his back pocket, she recalled. It was crazy. I wasn't expecting something like that. Armstrong said the experience left her feeling horrible, really violated and scared, she shared. I thought if I'd been on my own, would he have come in like that or come in when I was sleeping? Well, that's something to think about.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Love Holidays apologized to Armstrong and said the employee was fired the next morning after she reported the incident. We are very sorry to hear of Ms. Armstrong's experience while on holiday. Love Holidays spokesperson said in a statement to Kennedy News, unfortunately, we were not made aware of the incident while she was on holiday, so we were unable to provide her with support or advice on making a police report during her stay. We have fully investigated the issue with the hotel, and we are confident the appropriate action has been taken to ensure that this does not happen again. But Armstrong felt like she was between a rock and a hard place. It just really annoyed me because I thought I should have just reported him straight away when he was inappropriate on day one, she said. I just didn't want to ruin the holiday as we just arrived and was hoping if I told him to leave me alone, he would. But obviously it escalated. However, the hotel reportedly refused any compensation because she didn't report it until after she had left. Armstrong claimed she didn't have time to contact the police since it happened on the last day, and she had a flight to catch to get home. The hotel are saying they told me to call the police and I refused, which is a complete lie. They basically told me not to show the video to anyone, Armstrong claimed. The Ambassador Hotel Playa 2 declined to comment to Kennedy News. Now she's hoping to warn other women to avoid a real nightmare by tipping off a hotel about creeps immediately and even setting up cameras like she did if they have any suspicions of wrongdoing. Maybe carry a door lock for protection or something, and maybe record your room. That seems to be a good thing to do so that you have evidence and the hotel can't deny that it's happened. My advice to others would be just to be really vigilant, Armstrong continued. If someone is being creepy towards you, report them straight away. So there you go.
That is really extra creepy. Many levels. Gonna be
Incredible.
deadbolting my door tomorrow night.
You probably should. Maybe bring an extra lock.
Yeah.
Probably good advice. So there you go. That is Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals for today. Jess, speaking of trips where you probably want to bring your lock. No, I'm kidding. The Palmer House Hotel. You've got a couple of trips up for. That's a bad segue, by the way.
That's a bad one. That's not going to happen when you come to
No.
the Palmer House, folks.
You don't need an extra lock when you come to the Palmer House. You've got a couple of trips up for the Palmer House.
I do. The next one is November 14th, 15th, 16th, ending on the 17th. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys can come. There's still a discount code available for you, Darkness20, that you can use to get 20% off. And Tim will be there.
And I'll be there. Yes, I'll be there for the November trip. Yeah, we're going to have a good time. So there you go. And I promise I won't sneak into your room and sniff your underwear. So there you go. That's a ironclad guarantee, folks, if I've ever had it. So there you go.
Don't come if you're an underwear sniffer.
That's right. Don't come to the trip if you're not.
Everyone else is welcome.
Everyone else is welcome. There you go. Absolutely. All right. Echoroad is the name of the book. Check it out. Oh, by the way, you've got 2 books. Is one of your books out this month?
Oh my gosh, it's out tomorrow. I almost forgot. 2 of them. Yeah. Monsters of the Northeast and Ghosts of Pennsylvania. Both come out tomorrow.
All right. So there you go. Jess has got books coming out tomorrow. We'll have links in the description of this program. Echoroad is out right now. Kendra Elliot and Melinda Leigh are our guests today. We got a link in the description of this program as well for Echoroad. Be sure to go out and get that book. Tomorrow on the big program, Supernatural News, and an old friend stops by on Thursday.
Ooh.
All I'll tell you is we're talking demons, or are we? That's your clue for Thursday. I'll tell you more in tomorrow's show. So there you go. For Jessica Freeburg, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for joining us today on the best in true crime podcasting. You've been listening and watching True Crime Tuesday.
For more audio and video archives of True Crime Tuesday, please visit darknessradioshow.com. Thanks for watching.